Has it driven you crazy yet, Charles? The incessant honking, the madness. Now, wait a minute. Where's our green dot here? It's not
Behind the green dot?
Well, normally there's a green dot that shows up. Let's see if we're actually broadcasting. Uh-oh, what's wrong? Now, wait a minute.
What is this? Here's people in a convertible playing Frank Sinatra, with the top down, and it's 40 degrees here.
Well, but for some reason it seems like we aren't live. I'm not sure why that's happening. These people with the Frank Sinatra in the Toyota Camry convertible. Why don't you describe to everybody where we are here, Charles?
Sure, we're at 7th Avenue and 31st Street at the very base of Penn Station, approximately 2 years to the day that we did our first walk around.
Now, we've got yet another strange occurrence where this hasn't stopped and said there's an error, but there's no green dot, and I have no video running there.
It says that.
Yeah, but it seems like there is a problem. I hope that we're live. Well, you know, Charles, a lot of people have been really...
Look at this idiot.
No, now it says it's not broadcasting. So this is the same problem we had last time. So this is the same problem we had last time.
It's not working?
Not working, no.
What do we do?
I am more in a mood to walk around and record this and put it out later because...
Whatever you want.
I'm not going to get upset, and I'm not going to stop the show or disrupt the rest of my afternoon, but it is interesting, and we're observing the pattern. Wow, no channels found for Crowdsource the Truth on Rumble. Look at that. Crowdsource the Truth. What the hell is going on here?
I don't know. Is it... Are you bounced off Crowdsource Rumble?
I don't think so. I mean, we're having an amazingly interesting day, I can tell you that. Odyssey, let's see if we're on there. So, you know, I don't know if this is interference from mentally ill individuals with smelly feet living in RVs who like to file a lot of legal filings and think they're video game characters. But it's interesting that what we now observe is that when I set the video to go with hours of notice, perhaps that creates an opportunity for somebody to do something. It's just not going out live at all.
Wow. Do you have enough memory in the chip?
Yeah, that's not how it would fail if the chip ran out, and I actually checked it before we left. So let's do this, Charles. Let's do our regular show.
Okay.
And then I'll broadcast it when we get back.
All right. So here we are walking uptown. This is under construction. It probably should take a year to finish it, and it'll end up taking 5 years.
What are they constructing here?
They're taking the whole walkway and they're just making all open promenade, decks, new floors, all the new.
Do you know when it's going to be done?
No.
Huh.
Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, I think when you ask somebody who's paid by the hour when it's going to be done, they never know.
It's like when I have enough money.
Right.
It's like the big dig in Boston. But this is what you see if you take the Amtrak train into New York City. You come out to this mess, and across the street there's 3 derelict hotels: the Hotel Pennsylvania, the Penn District, and the Stewart. Not that they were ever that nice, but in the heyday they were thriving. Now they're just junky.
Well, they're closed, right?
And it's just a filthy mess. I mean, this is supposed to be the capital of the modern world, New York.
It's really...
Can't even do a train station.
I know, it's ridiculous. So we're going to relive...
Let's hope not.
Well, right. We'll trace our footsteps here and hopefully not be subject to major injury.
Yeah.
But it's not pretty what's happening over here,
Yeah.
Charles. And I'm keeping this looking in reverse because last time that's where the danger came from.
Right, the danger zone.
And it was basically within the first days of the pandemic, we started coming down here, and people who saw it will recall that somebody behind us took an interest in what we were doing, followed us in here, and assaulted me down here.
And here's the guy to your right that seems to be up to no good.
Yeah, there were no cops whatsoever down
New
here at
age.
that time.
What's he doing?
He's doing some kind of art project. Wow, this Dwayne Reed is closed, Charles.
Everything's closed. I mean, to
Oh
your
no,
left,
it's still open.
I'm saying, well, I mean, compared to what it used to be like.
Well, because the whole front used to be open, I think,
Yeah.
that you could just walk in. Now they're controlling the access to it.
Yeah. So when we came in last time, there were no commuters. But there, you see this poor soul over here on the side.
Wow. I haven't been down here in a while.
Yeah, it was just filled with people who were. It was reasonably cold back then as it is today, and people were just hanging out in here. But I remember this is about where you got hit.
Yeah, but this is where I slipped on the feces.
Right. Well, okay. Leave it to you to give us that kind of brown color.
Yeah.
Brown.
But there's a lot less people in here than there would normally be on a non-pandemic type of day.
Right. You got to keep the cops happy. So this place is thriving.
Yeah, the donuts.
But
Krispy Kreme uniform is now camouflage. What does that tell you
I don't know.
about the state of play?
And I remember at one point, we'll walk by where I did this. These shops were all more or less derelict 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Fucking moron. Why would a guy like walk right at you?
Oh, I was looking at the sound mixer. I didn't see that.
Yeah. So this I think the original Zeros was in Grand Central Station, and it's branched out. I remember one. Really, this guy's no trouble here. There was one guy in my at Horace Mann who really was off the charts smart. He was like, skipped ahead to 1, 2, or 3 grades
Ooh.
in every.
Ooh.
That's that guy.
God,
Yeah.
that's not healthy to even smell that. Come on, you're telling me that guy is not emanating disease if we can smell that?
I know. So anyway, I was in Grand Central Station getting a bagel and coffee at Zeros, and there he was. Dropped out of college, working at Zeros.
Wow.
Let's do one circuit, complete circuit,
Sure.
and see what we see. Just for
This
how
is
we're doing.
totally dead. Normally,
Yeah.
there are people here going to Chicago, Miami, Washington, D.C. There's nobody here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we got a little distracted by the technical disruption. And I have to say, Charles, for this to happen twice,
It's a pattern.
well, it is a pattern, and I'm going to need to figure out how this could
We're
happen.
going to do one complete lap. We'll end up and go back up that way.
I may have told you this about me, Charles, but no matter what the computer issue is,
You can solve it.
if I spend enough time looking at it and thinking about it, I will solve it. And that includes this. And I think that this is disruption. And
But
I think,
this is the New Jersey, primarily New Jersey, I guess, here.
well,
But
so
you
to
got
the
Bo-
airport.
Well, you got Boston, Washington,
Yeah.
but I don't know where maybe it's in the new terminal where they have the trains.
Oh, they might have moved it,
Yeah.
right.
But let's just walk by here because I want to.
We should go to that,
We
too.
will.
So, but let's also for a moment, because I was distracted when we started behind the 8 ball, but the reason, Charles, that we've selected today's poster, I don't know, I was going to bring you some 3D glasses. I don't imagine you ever saw the film House of Wax, right?
You've got that correct. Yeah,
Well, this is House of Wax,
I know.
like getting whacked in the face.
Again, you're taught. I mean, at least my children were taught.
You don't slap
You
people?
don't settle arguments with fists or slapping people. It's a weak person's approach, and you shouldn't have to get to that place if you're a civilized, individual. And so, I mean, I just think that whole goon show. I mean, we did one episode I think called The Ortels, right, where we made
Yep.
fun of it. But that whole goon show with one person dressed, and the only person I saw who was dressed really elegantly was Kevin Costner.
I thought that the tuxedo Will Smith was wearing was okay.
Well, but the punching part kind of
That takes away from it, yeah.
That doesn't help you. You get
Less
you lose-
elegant.
You lose all your style points on the punch.
I agree.
It's that tikkun anyway. So,
It's ties.
but one person, one dress more ridiculous than the next. I mean, there are dresses that look like the kind of stuff you see left out in the trash here with wire hangers in them and curtains and, and like in bathrooms, shower ensembles and this and that with weird colors and not flattering to the women involved, and the men who dressed up like, I don't understand the idea of an older guy with thinning hair having very long braids with a bald spot and crap in the braids, and
I didn't see any of that.
yeah, it was just one, and they're all, you've got a fawn all over them, and it really is actually sort of funny that all the style consultants have to be these lisping men,
Right.
who will see, that dress with the matching scarf is in a lovely shade of vomit. I just can't believe, how did you put that together with barf? Where did you get your barf? I mean, it was just, yeah, nice smell.
It smells worse than a hockey locker room. And that's bad. I don't know if you've ever been in one.
No, I'm sure I've been one.
Oh, God.
I've
It's
said
terrible.
hockey's, any kind of men's bathroom, gym room. So you want to go up to that way?
Sure, whichever.
No, well,
Well, let's check the Moynihan thing. And
Let's
it's
see
not
what-
just the NYPD who's texting instead of working. The transit police do it too. They're equally ineffective.
this is the. You promised, Jason. You promised.
I didn't say anything to them. I'm just alerting the audience.
Oh, okay.
I was one time pushed over by a drunk guy. I got
Only
off the
once?
train. Well, I got off the train. I was rolling a suitcase behind me, and somebody kicked it behind me.
I remember you told the story.
And then I was like, everything okay? He's like, your suitcase just hit me. I was like, really? Because it felt like you kicked it. And the guy just pushed me and I went flying. I mean, he was way bigger than me.
Right.
And it was right in front of the cops. And I was like, are you going to arrest this guy? He just assaulted me. And they said, that's not assault. It's amazing what the police think assault is.
I think for the police, for many of them, it's just they really don't want to write anything up.
I know, they don't want to do anything other than text people and wait for their pension to arrive.
Not all, but a high number of them, yeah.
Everyone I've met, except for maybe one.
So here we are. But to the art department, that 3D poster was great. And I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's Andy something, who was the creative genius behind Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, I don't know.
He was in Clarissa's Harvard class. He was in the National Lampoon. He's made we went to his brother's wedding, who's a lawyer. And the name will come to me. I forget what it is exactly, but this was back in the 80s, and by then, Clarissa graduated from Harvard in '79. So by the mid 80s, this kid was very wealthy, and the brother, who was more successful, had been in Harvard and Harvard Law School, at least traditional success measures. We're talking. Now, do you need to wear a mask in here or not?
I don't think anymore. They ended it. Oh, it does say printed on the thing.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to wear it in there. I think it's over. They ended it.
Okay. Well, if we.
They'll throw us out if we have to.
This guy's not wearing a mask.
Right.
But anyway, and the older brother said, of course, this is stuff like, well, what do you want what did you ask your brother for your wedding gift? And he said, well, I suggested you buy me my house.
Oh. Nice.
But he did a lot of, I think wasn't Fresh Prince of Bel-Air the first thing that Will Smith was a big...
Not really. He became famous, as far as I know, when he had a rap song called Parents Just Don't Understand, which was...
Was that before?
Before Fresh Prince.
Was it? Okay.
And it was almost like a new genre because it was kind of a precursor to gangster rap. And you've told us that you lived in an apartment building with like Jam Master Jay and everything.
Not just Jam Master Jay, LL Cool J, Jam Master Jay.
Right. See, those guys were like the first gen. Run DMC
that
was a good-spirited.
Well, that was
yeah,
88.
but Run DMC were like the fathers of rap.
Well, what they did, and it was smart. It's a big Ponzi scheme. They may have been played or may not have been played. They were among the earliest, I think, Run DMC.
They were.
And then what they did is they said, okay, they would find other people that could do similar stuff, and they say, "Oh, we'll front you."
Put them on
but
their
we want a
label or
piece.
whatever
Yeah,
and
we want
produce it.
Def Jam Records. We want a piece of all your action, and
Right.
then they'd have 100 of those or 500 of those, whatever. So here we are in Moynihan.
Totally new.
Yeah, and I want to say a year ago, just when it opened up, I was here and trying to go, I forget where, to Boston or to meet you somewhere. I think it was Boston. And they said,
No, D.C. Oh, Philly.
well, also, wasn't it Boston where I met you? Or did we-
Oh, you're right, because we did the
yeah.
thing at Harvard.
And they said, oh, so you're going to have to leave. These escalators don't work. It's like, what's the fucking point of having this? The escalators don't work. And you look at this building, it's gigantic.
It is.
It must be expensive to heat and cool this thing, because the heat just goes straight up, right? And
Maybe they thought about it, I don't know.
I doubt it.
It looks good.
And this is nice, but we saw what you get to see when you come out. You go from this building to the slums.
Who was Daniel Patrick
He- oh,
Moynihan?
come
They
on.
name everything after him.
He was a senator. He's actually the senator who didn't like Hillary Clinton, who announced his retirement and let Hillary announce her campaign at his farm in Columbia
Why did
County,
he do
New York.
that?
Yeah, to let her carpetbag her way in.
But I thought if he doesn't like her, why does he?
Why? Oh, I don't know. You think the Clintons have any influence? Bill was president.
So where else should we go here?
Let's go back out this way and up.
Sure. I've never been in here. I've never used a train from here.
Sorry?
I've never been in here before. I've never used a train from here, so this is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the train, I have to say, the train ride I took up to Boston, it left on time, it got there on time, it was very comfortable.
That's a little rare to leave
No,
on
no,
time.
they fixed them up, these trains, for
I
now,
hope so.
before the inflation kicks the living shit out of it.
3-4 years ago when I was taking it to DC, it was more frequently late and delayed
yeah.
than not.
Sure.
Look at this complicated machine for laying down rubber mats. Someone's sitting around scratching their head like, I've got to invent that rubber mat machine.
Yeah, it'll save one labor hour.
You see some strange machines.
This would be fun to skateboard down.
I'm surprised that's not happening.
It will, I'm sure. So this is, what would you say this neighborhood is called? It used to be called Hell's Kitchen, I think.
Well, right, that I think begins above 34th Street,
Which is
west of 5th. So this is, I thought always just,
I
don't know.
The Shaitoli.
well, I just always sort of figured Midtown.
Now look
but-
at this. Trash talk in 48 languages.
No, but you say one trash talk thing and you're going to get kicked off. So, let's talk about that for a second. I got kicked off of Twitter again.
Oh man.
Well, this is particularly egregious because Scott Adams, the recently objectionable cartoonist who created Twitter,
Whoa,
I mean Dilbert.
Well, he's not that objectionable. He gets a huge following.
I know, but he's gone crazy lately talking about all kinds of weird stuff where his followers are like, what the hell is going on with you? A lot of birds there, Charles.
These are rats with wings. I mean, what?
Look at that. Now it says U.S. property, no trespassing. I've never seen that before. This is like a bedroom for homeless people.
And pigeons. Now,
They're usually
pigeons,
being fed by them.
pigeons don't spread disease at all.
Well, they don't want them going to the post office.
Actually, I'm not going to say who it was, but I dated somebody in high school whose father was a big shot in media, and feeling really full of himself, and they were doing some shoot of him because he became president of a major network.
Oh.
And he was all kitted out in a fancy suit, and it was a nice day, and he's,
Bird.
glamming himself up, and next thing you know, he feels this gigantic wet egg on his head. It's just like a gigantic plethora of pigeon crap. Just went down his head, down his face, on his suit.
How could someone calculate the odds of an individual receiving a bird bomb like that? It seems like a very low probability.
I suppose I could tell you who it
occurrence.
was. The guy's name was Elton Rule, and he was the guy who was credited with Leonard Goldenson of turning ABC into a major network. If you look him up, he was really nice to me, actually. And,
Maybe he knows Barry Diller.
I forget. Elton Rule died, I want to say, in maybe the 90s.
Wow, that guy's just walking around drinking a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I know. Not
That's
looking.
pretty new.
Not looking, just
New approach.
it's like I don't care.
But this takes us back to our theme today, Charles. You know, people have been saying, oh, the slap was staged, it was fake, it was real, it's the Illuminati, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing. The fact is that was broadcast on television.
Yeah.
And we now are in the aftermath of it. The statement that it was staged, I don't even know what that means. Does that mean that they rehearsed it with Chris Rock and Will Smith? Or certainly Will Smith planned it at least a second before it happened. He walked up to the stage and did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for all the people who are so quick to moralize, Trump did this wrong, Republicans did that wrong, somebody else did something else wrong, where are all these virtue signalers talking about that whack?
They like it.
It's
People
absurd.
are saying that this is Trump's fault. That Will Smith and Trump are the same.
You know, 10 billion trillion years from now, when aliens finally come around here to see what...
You mean next week?
No, when they finally come around here, they'll say, yeah, no one figured it out. That humans were put on this mess here because they're so objectionable. We don't want them anywhere near us. But, oh, look at this over here.
So,
This is the corner of 34th and 8th, and here's this poor lady.
oh, I've seen this person before.
Yeah. Just hanging out.
Kick Duck Diner is not good.
It used to be pretty hopping around here.
Well, I
mean,
mean, when
it-
CNN did something, they turned this into the CNN Diner.
When CNN did something,
There
that
was-
must have been a long time ago.
I mean, well, there was like some, maybe like the Democratic Convention or something was
Oh,
happening.
in New York, sure.
Yeah, it was happening somewhere around here, and CNN took over that
Right.
and made it into the CNN Diner or something like
Yeah.
that. And I remember thinking,
Jesus.
even then, that it was stupid.
But on the subject of the wax, I mean, it's not okay to do something like that, to smile, first of all, at the joke, as he did, and then stride up to the front. I mean, if you tried to do, any normal human being, nobody normal is sitting in that audience,
Right.
but, you know, who was sitting in that audience and tried to do that
You'd be thrown out right away,
for life.
as he should be.
Yeah, I mean, you would be taken from that room to jail.
But,
Yep.
and then now,
And,
Yeah.
You know, and so where's Barack Obama on this?
Has he
Right.
made a comment?
I don't know. I mean, where's Bill Clinton on this? You know, where's Fauci on this? You know, where are the people who locked down the world?
Well, wear a mask and it will reduce the effectiveness of a slap. Charles, 505 8th Avenue, the former location of 21st Century.
Oh, really? Well, was that the final one or the
That
first
was
one?
the last office we ever
Wow,
had.
pretty
yeah.
ritzy.
And then we have a pub here that used to be a deli that we would order lunch from, but it was not good.
Not good anymore.
Well, it wasn't
Not
good,
good.
then.
As Trump said, not good.
start
Not good. So the other
Is that
thing.
where you got your tattoos over there?
No. Is there a tattoo place there?
Incology Tattoo Art Gallery on the 3rd floor across the street on the left. On the left.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's all
Or-
kinds of weird businesses opening now that rent must be much lower.
So you have DOC Go, Street Health Outreach, COVID-19, Weed World,
Unbelievable.
and Taco Bell.
That wasn't there either.
And I'm sure there's intense debate in city planning about where do we put this mess? Another COVID test across the street. But I congratulate the art department on another job well done. That was a
So what do we think the fallout from this is going to be? I mean, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is bread and circuses, it's a distraction from whatever. All of that may be true, but I think it also is its own separate, I think it's a bigger disaster perhaps than people even really realize.
well. I actually like movies, and I like the experience of going to a movie theater. I liked it anyway, even though I no
idea.
longer buy popcorn and candy and all that kind of crap. But I used to like going, taking a little time out of the day, typically in the summer when it's hot, to go over to a theater and then see all the previews and stuff. I can't think of any movie that I'd like to go see.
I'm with you. This is new too, Charles. Zoni Language Center. Learn English.
Yeah, Biden should go there.
Well, that's interesting because a lot of people are talking about,
Let's keep walking.
immigrants coming and, people buying up properties for fractions of the dollars they were previously worth, and they might have to go to that Zoni language training thing so that everybody living here will have to learn Chinese so that we can speak to our new neighbors.
Well, I think it used to be that the property taxes were a small percentage of the cost of owning something over a lifetime because you could deduct 100% of the property taxes from your personal income tax, and now you can't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad deal. When did they start doing that?
Eliminate it. There's actually part of the Trump tax reform where they placed a limit on how much state and local taxes. I think it's 10,000, including property taxes.
Oh.
And so the so-called SALT deduction.
I got to talk to my accountant about that.
Right. So the correct way, I think, to look at what's the asking price of a property is you say, what are its current property taxes? At what rate have they grown historically? Is there any way that you can rationalize why they grew at the rate they grew? Based on what happened in the past, how do you feel the rate these taxes may grow in the future? I know.
The hardware store's out of business. I've been in there a million times.
That's been extinguished. It's a lighting store.
Well, but it's hardware. That was sort of like your general. Oh, no. This is the hardware store. That lighting store
gone.
Still had a lot of electronic stuff that I would get.
Ace Hardware. This is a chain, isn't it?
Yeah, that's still there.
Is that a nice buffet kit? A Sterno buffet kit. Just what you need. Like, what is this?
A friend of mine from college, her grandfather invented that Sterno.
Was their name Sterno?
It's close to that.
Where's this music coming from? Oh.
That guy was carrying the music, I think, and he went into the CBD store.
This Two Brothers doesn't look very sanitary.
No. I know two other brothers who aren't sanitary at all.
So yeah, I mean, this is, why would you choose to come to New York and work in this area in 2022? I mean, look around us.
Terrible.
I mean, it's not as if you could make the argument that this part of the city is far away from the center of Manhattan. It is the center of Manhattan. And look at the shape it's in.
Yeah.
And why would it be in this kind of shape? It's in this kind of shape because state, local, and federal taxes are absurd. It's an anti-capitalist, pseudo-communist, crony corrupt mecca where crime is now spiraling.
That's the most
completely out of control.
It's a growth industry. It's the fastest growing industry in New York is crime.
Yeah. Stay away from this guy.
They're advertising Florida there.
Yeah. COVID-19 testing unit. The crack COVID testing unit right there. Dirty as hell. No out-of-pocket cost. Good to know.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that they have it in all these vans. If you wanted the government to sponsor a serious,
there's another one,
wide-scale medical study, why wouldn't they, in an organized way, say, okay, we're going to open X number of offices throughout Manhattan. We're going to open them in these businesses that are closed. We got a lot of static here. Hang on, let's see. Hopefully this will stop soon.
Careful.
I feel like we've been around here before and not had this.
Yeah, the New York Times is right across the street there.
But I'm
we
saying
could cross
they
if you
could
want.
have. Well, but don't we want to go into the filthiest public transit?
You want to take a bus somewhere?
I do not. I've really only been into Port Authority a limited number of times because it is so just.
So many COVID test places. We're just past 3 on this block.
I know, it's crazy.
And there, speaking of crazy, there's the New York Times. I wonder what it's like to sit in an editorial session or a session where they decide what's going to be on the front page of the Times today.
You have to deal with Dean Paquette.
Yeah. It's like, what's that not To the Manor Born. It's a show like that with his henpecked husband and the wife.
Oh yeah.
Maybe bucket, but it's
forget.
pronounced bouquet. Ralph.
That's Cramden.
He's the man. He is the man, right?
I feel like that's a less fat version.
Oh
of
yeah,
what-
but he apparently in real life he was controversial. I'm sorry.
like not that nice.
No, yeah. Well, a lot of
Should we go in here?
if we're allowed,
Oh, we're allowed, but it's
it says mask up.
where? Yeah, but that's old. They
Yeah,
said
yeah.
last week that they're doing away with it, and there's tons of people going in without. This has been like a urine-covered mess
All right,
for
this
the
is,
entire time.
this has been a place where you have scouts looking for runaways, getting off the buses and taking it
To traffic them.
Right.
Right.
And you have, that one of the very nice things about this place is you have all the exhaust from the buses.
Right, in
Comes
here.
right in here.
This is the most terrible place in New
you know,
York.
and the reason I think they do that, Jason, is to accustom you to the stank in New
You're-
York, so
you're
that when you
right,
come
though.
out to the streets, it's like
This is a health
isn't
hazard.
that bad.
No, this is a health hazard. You can smell the exhaust. Here's beer coming soon. The land of beer. Wow.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the last time I was in here, Charles, it is improved because the last time I was in here, there was at least an inch of urine on the floor
Only an
throughout the entire
inch,
place.
and only urine.
Right.
But again, this is. Do you see any cops?
They're not that stupid. You hang out in here.
There's some army men,
Yeah. Well,
and I don't know if we. I think we can go out that side, maybe.
sure.
And upstairs, it's there are bars, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I've really spent very little time in here.
Smart. God, it's really not getting to me, horribly, but it's the exit. We can exit on 9th Avenue.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, this is a dreadful.
We'll head up close to 37th, where the person was. What happened to her? A brick went through a taxi or something?
Oh, right. Yeah, woman just robbed a taxi by smashing the window with a cinder block and then climbing in the taxi. It's just not a really well thought out
Yeah.
criminal operation.
You wonder what her report cards look like in, say, 2nd grade and 3rd grade. So
Doesn't-
and so does not play well with,
With others, right. Is this the exit? No, that's to buses.
Let's see over here. It says exit there. Let's see. Gates.
What?
That says gates. Do you see an exit? 9th Avenue.
9th Avenue, yeah. And then the police are apparently hanging out somewhere around here too. I've never been over to this section.
Well, this is obviously an architect spent a lot of time saying, how do we make a bus station look like a prison?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do this. No windows, dirty bricks. The exhaust. Oh my God, is this closed?
Maybe
we
we
have to
can't
go.
go out this way.
We have to go down to go up, to go out.
Huh.
Area closed. Area 51 closed.
Oh, so that way the police don't have to bother.
Right, so we'll go down
Look
this
at
way.
that.
Check in at desk.
Well, I guess it's a blessing in disguise, Charles, that the broadcast was cut because it would be cut right here basically anyway.
Oh, we get to walk out.
I have a very strong sense that this was deliberate. I don't see how this type of error would happen
Go ahead.
twice.
I'll let you go. All right. All right, so we head up that way. Wow, you see the difference? I mean, this probably smells like, the inside of a toilet bowl, but it smells better than because we've had the,
That's a terrible place.
yeah.
I couldn't imagine having to go there twice a day to work. Like, that's like misery.
That is misery. It's not like misery.
That is misery. Commuting and then being on that bus. Also, anytime I've ever ridden on a public bus, there's some drunk person who creates a fight with the bus driver,
Right.
And then the whole bus is like, leave them alone, we're gonna crash. And then
So you're not into busing,
I just don't recommend riding the bus, no.
but you like Chinese food, and there's
Don't
a good place
like
right here.
Chinese food.
Get you some Chinese food. You can warm it up in your microwave when you get home.
Jam it down the sink in college.
Yeah, I guess we're 5 blocks north of 37th. And here we got bums blocking the whatever this is.
So Charles, I saw this morning that
Deli.
the ruble
Yeah, it's up to 83 now.
strong against the dollar.
Yeah, it was down at what was it? It was as bad as like 125 or something against the dollar.
They said this is like a 10-week high or something.
Well, they had me on that Russian channel NTV yesterday to talk about what I thought about the Russians demanding that they get paid in rubles or gold.
What do you think about
I think
that?
it's genius on their part.
I agree.
I mean, we know back in 2011 when Bernanke was the previous.
Smells good.
Yeah, Istanbul.
Bernanke.
Well, the previous head of the Federal Reserve decided to do that quantitative easing 2 or whatever it was. I said that he should be put in prison for the rest of his life for doing that. That instead, we should have
Why?
tried, because it was a mistake to. I mean,
That's when they just print more money, right?
well, when you suppress interest rates, when you say to a saver, when somebody would like to put money away and doesn't know anything about finance, and you can't think through, is this stock a good thing to own or not? When you lower interest rates below inflation, you're basically saying that it makes no sense to keep money in the bank.
Right.
And so it encourages people to spend more, not to save, and to engage in reckless behavior in terms of leverage speculation. And for that, all those reasons, the central bank is supposed to be the grown-up in the room. It says, no, we're not doing that. We need to protect the value of the American dollar. And those of us who remember what life was like in the late 70s and early 80s, how miserable it was, don't want to see the days coming again where the central bank has to jack up interest rates to defend the dollar. But those days are coming. Now,
Isn't it too late though?
it's never too late. You can always, I mean, it's too late to do it painlessly, but it's never too late. I mean, you can do it.
Well, what does that mean? What's the painful version?
The painful version is that, you took out a mortgage for $3 million to buy a $3,500,000 apartment, and you can't sell it, and the maintenance just went from being $25,000 a month to being $75,000 a month, and you can't walk away because the mortgage is
You're
structured.
in a contract.
You're-
So
well,
what
you-
happens? You go bankrupt.
Well, you may have to, I mean, it's those type, anybody who's borrowed money to invest in something whose value will go down when interest rates go up is in serious trouble.
Right. That's why I hate borrowing money. My friend who lost all his money had a great plan for me to,
Borrow money.
get a mortgage against the apartment and do this and
Right.
that. And I was like, not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, when I was up in Millbrook, I would play tennis in the summer with this group of people. There was always some wise ass who was lecturing everybody about how he was so successful, and he said, the key to my success, did anybody care? I went, okay, let's listen to the lecture, is that I borrow as much money as I can every chance I get. I said, well, aren't you at all worried about what could happen? Oh, no, it just forces me to be more aggressive in the way I work and think about my money. That guy's probably bankrupt and or dead. This is right before the crash of 2007-8. Literally 12 months before the crash.
That was a bag popping, like a bag of chips. Did you see that fly through the air?
Yeah, I did. That's no bag.
Yeah. So tonight, Chris Rock is doing his first public appearance since the slap.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's got a comedy show at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, which is a nice theater. We did a 3D Sully Erna concert there.
So what do you want to
years
do?
ago.
Go to the right, or
Sure.
who's your booby? Matzo ball soup.
What?
5 napkin burger. Anyway,
Wow, it smells like cinnamon.
it smells better anyway.
Is this cookies? That must be it.
Yeah,
Schmackeries. What is this?
get a free cookie.
Boy, it really smells good.
It's delightful.
It smells great. What kind of cookies did you get?
So I got a regular chocolate chip cookie, and then they have this like
Can I see it?
cinnamon
Oh,
Rice Krispie treat.
that sounds and smells like the signature thing of the place because it
Yeah.
smells like cinnamon all around here.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to try it.
My God, that looks good. Enjoy that.
Thank you.
What do you think about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock? Seriously, what did you think of that?
I think it had to be done. I guess. I
Don't you
know.
think it's dangerous though? If somebody says something you don't like, you just hit them? Doesn't it send a message to young men that that's the right thing to do and maybe
I think it sends a message that there may be consequences. There's a.
But he
right-
didn't get arrested for assault. Where are the consequences for that?
Yes.
Anyway, have a nice day, ladies. Enjoy the cinnamon
Oh,
Rice
yes.
Krispie. That smells really good. So where are we right now?
We're on
40
near 9th.
7th and 9th. And then you have also a Bird and Branch restaurant. But Charles, let's talk about that response for a second. Those are two women who feel like that had to be done and those are the consequences. But taking the law into your own hands and smacking someone, that has no consequences.
Again, I think there are, some people are accustomed to settling differences with fists. What is this? This is
It's the Masons.
Yeah, the Masons.
I didn't know
Spanish.
this was here.
It's over here.
Nueva York. Oh yeah, look at that. Whoa.
That's a Serena Mismo Grand Lodge. That's like a Spanish Mason. It's probably downstairs.
Serenissima
It's down here, I guess.
Grand Lodge. Yep.
It's not here.
Interesting thing. Well, it seems to be all of this.
That's a theater. Well,
But
maybe
it's
that
got
is.
the Masons thing right
Yeah,
there.
there you go. But it's a theater now. Imperial Theater.
Grand
Maybe it was.
Logia
Maybe it's
de
both.
Lengua Español, Values de Nueva York.
Values of New York. So what it is, this is like
Pretty
fist fights, drugs, crack cocaine, corruption.
Now, here's another question. Wouldn't it be a legitimate defense for Chris Rock to say that he can't define if Jada Pinkett is a wife or not? We don't even know if she's a woman.
Well, you saw that idiot Susan Collins.
I don't know who that
She's
is.
a senator from Maine who voted against.
Oh yeah, she said she's now with Ketanji Jackson.
Brown Jackson, KBJ. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, KBJ is how I remember it.
I was looking at her husband kissing her, and all I could think about is Velcro. the beard.
She got a bearded husband?
No, he has a beard that's kind of
She's
straight.
got a bearded husband, that's what I said.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, beer.
No,
culture.
he's got a beard.
So now, Charles, how's the beer culture working out right here?
Does it look like his...
It's not very good. Oh, look at that. Is it Hillary holding a baby? What is that?
is that Hillary?
Isn't it? With a New York Yankees hat, holding a weird baby.
Should be Senator Elizabeth Warren. Isn't she the one who said, honey, you want a beer? Remember that?
Now look at this. Yeah, I do remember that. That's weird.
It's garbage adjacent. It's like, very well thought through having that garbage thing right there. That's going to definitely be enough of a garbage pail for the whole building, right?
I don't know what's going on. I'm concerned that people think that that was the right thing to do. And it's like, what about Chris Rock? He's black too. Why is it okay to smack a black man?
It's not okay.
They think
Here's
it is.
flash dancers. Well, did they go in here?
I don't think so.
That was what's called that was an easy one, Jason. That was it. All right. 10 Tony Awards for what? Winter, The Spectacular Awaits. What is this show? Oh, Moulin Rouge.
Oh, that.
Isn't that kind of old?
I was going to say, actually, of all musicals I have ever been made aware of, I must admit, the movie of this I enjoyed. And
So-
I've been to the Moulin Rouge in Paris. It's an impressive thing.
So, for the people who don't live in New York, and some travel agent, some circus clown, some barkers trying to get you all revved up to, take your wife, take your husband to New York to come to a play. Look at what you're going to find when you get here. Garbage on the street. You got this sleeping pedicab guy behind you. You got, touts over there. Why would you want to come here? I mean, I would rather go I'd almost rather go to Columbus Airport.
In Ohio? I've been there.
I've been there many times. But just go there and walk around and get a Slurpee and then maybe go get a Auntie Annie's, what are those things? Pretzels. And then
Camelot.
Yeah. This is what's impressive about this. Why would you think about the cost of coming here, let's say, just for 3 nights? Let's say your hotel bill is going to be easily with tax, because taxes. Got a light here, guys. Light.
They don't speak English. They need to go to that Sony center. That's all right.
But so let's say conservatively, this is one hotel room for a family of 4, which would be very unpleasant. But let's just say
it's over $1,000.
Well, I would just say the hotels for 3 nights are going to be $900 minimum. Then you're going to be ripped off for probably $200 to $300 and stupid shit that taxis you are overpaying for or whatever, souvenirs. And then each meal, if you dare to have, let's say, go out for 3 dinners with drinks and whatever, 4 people,
$200 easy.
Easily.
I mean, that's at like modest places.
And then transportation for 4 people. Then the tickets for one show for 4 people. I mean, it's more like $3,500, $4,000, and that doesn't get into the cost of medicine and your hospital stay when you knocked on the head.
Yep.
And for what? Again, you contrast that with take your smartphone, make sure it's charged up. You go to the Columbus Airport. You do what you want. It costs you, I don't know, less than $200 in gas and whatever. Here's
Evan Hansen has its own bus.
Yeah. Now this is today. It used to be Wednesday matinees, right? It did.
All right.
Now to your left, you got the Marriott where somebody was shot, murdered.
When was that?
Well, last year. Tourist was murdered there.
Man, I can't even keep track of all the violent crime going on now.
Yeah, please just.
Hey, look, there's a play going on. People are
coming
clapping.
out. Let's get out of here.
Yeah,
come from away. Let's get out of here.
But that's the closest we've had.
It's the closest
we've come to having a Broadway show.
That's the closest I will be to going to a Broadway show.
Yeah.
Let me just.
So we've heard a bunch of things, Charles. They said that Russia was withdrawing from around Kiev. It almost feels like CNN and Fox and all the generals they have on are like the dumbest people possible. Because they're like, they're withdrawing because Putin is losing. And then they pull back their army and send missiles. Right. They're like, well, maybe they just put the army back because they knew they were going to send missiles.
Right. The number one thing to understand, I think, with war is it's not like you have to check with Christine Amanpour of CNN or wherever she is now before you decide who to bomb.
Right.
You're not saying, well, I better make sure. Have the invitations gone out for the bombing?
Yeah.
You're going to
send a press release to CNN.
You weren't supposed to bomb at that time, and you used a different kind of bomb. I mean, it's surprise is what wins wars. If we think back to the liberation of Kuwait, there was all that chatter, and that was one that was actually pretty well done, I thought, where all the analysts were there, and they were, so I think, told to say, well, we can't enter from the west of Kuwait City. We're going to have to go in through the water, the Arabian Sea, or whatever you call it, and that's going to be tough. It's a narrow. There are these narrow points in the channel where people can block us, and no one would risk coming in eastward from the west. That's of course what they did. They came in eastward from the west. That was well done. But the bite me approach to managing our foreign policy, in quotes, managing, it's like if you remember Red Skelton when he played the drunk.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was grounded. And here we go. It's a nice shot of, who is Sophia Carson? Is that Johnny Carson's daughter?
I don't know. She looks too young.
There's the notorious B.I.G.
Life After Death.
It looks like Cedric the Entertainer.
Well, he's sold more, I think, albums. He's been dead a long time.
Oh, that was part of the business plan?
I don't know. But
Listen, Notorious, the way we're going to maximize the value of your brand is we're going to execute you. Okay, that sounds good.
but let's talk about that for a second, Charles, because Notorious B.I.G., we're told, was killed in a beef of East Coast versus West Coast rappers. Right. Exactly this type of thug approach to solving your problems. And what did it do? It resulted in him being dead. This guy's broadcasting way above 7 decibels ambient. Why aren't the cops telling him to turn that down?
I think you know the answer to that question.
There's just so many simple things that could be done to keep order. And when little things like that demonstrate that there's disorder, it leads to movie stars, glorifying violence on the stage. It's so ridiculous, the response that the Academy has had saying, oh, well, we don't condone violence.
No.
And somebody on Twitter...
Not in our movies, not in our adventure movies. There's no violence in that.
Well, right, and Will Smith is certainly guilty of that.
Bad
Guns
Boys.
And everything, right.
Bad
Glorifying
Boys 1,
all that.
Bad Boys 2. I mean, that's just 2 that I can say off the top of my head.
And you know what? As somebody who was in that profession, I could at least get involved in the conversation that, well, that's a movie and that's one thing. But now he's just demonstrated to his
posse,
young man of a son, and everybody who is looking up to him as a role model, etc., that this is how we do it. Just slap somebody when you don't like what they say. And look at how many people think that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, the people who, we ask somebody that question, they're afraid you're going to slap them if you give them the wrong answer.
Maybe.
That would actually be pretty funny, for the presidential debate. You'd have a moderator, he'd ask a question.
Biden, wrong answer.
Wrong answer. Slap, I'm going to slap you silly.
That could be a game show.
That would be funny.
Yeah, I mean,
everywhere.
But this is serious because they're saying, no, we're not going to have laws, we're not going to have rules, we're not going to have courts. I mean, this is even worse than what's happening in court, where we got a law and they ignore it. This is just, you have to read the mind of whoever you're standing near to know what they think the rule is and what they are allowed to do if they don't like what you say.
Yeah. Well, or you could just say, I'm not going to play by these rules, which I think is what's going to happen.
I really would have liked it if it was like Dave Chappelle and he just cold cock Will Smith and knock him out.
But even that's wrong. I mean,
that wouldn't have been good either,
it should have been that the rules of the Academy. This is an award show. We are celebrating a year's worth of our. And by the way, they also left out that guy Bob. How do you pronounce
Bob Saget? Yeah, why?
From the In Memoriam.
That's weird, right?
Yeah. But you would have thought they'd make it all the attendee. If you're going to get these swag bags and it's going to be a choice ticket to get, and you would think they would force you to read. Maybe they don't know how to read, but to read something and sign something that says you're going to be on your best behavior. And there'll be
know you don't go to a.
Evidently, you don't know.
Slap somebody.
Well, what was it? Who was Marlon Brando won one and he didn't show up, or he sent an Indian to accept the award? Or
Native American.
Yeah.
But that's different.
But there have been other crazy things, I think.
But that's hardly crazy. That's just saying, look, I don't like you and I'm making a political statement. He didn't attack anybody.
Well,
it's not against the law.
I can't fit into a first-class seat. I think that was the problem.
That might be the problem, too. I am extra disgusted with... That's a Hemi.
No, it looks a little bit like that guy, Matt Lauer.
Oh, was Matt Lauer driving a Hemi to New Jersey? I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, nowadays, it's probably what he is doing.
Getting 10 miles a gallon. Yeah. But it just sends such a bad message to people who already have bad ideas. We see it. It's already permeated the streets. Everybody around here thinks you better be on your behavior or you're going to get slapped.
That's right. And I think that kind of stuff happens as it gets darker. The mayhem gets worse. Yeah.
Here's Marsh McClellan.
Marshmallow McClellan, yeah, that's
deeply involved in 9/11.
insurance company. Yeah. So,
Well, the Academy, AMPAS, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, has said it could take weeks
of course.
for them to arrive at a disciplinary action for Will Smith.
Well, what's the catering budget for the meetings?
Exactly. But, and then
To get-
Whoopi Goldberg said she's going to make sure that, serious consequences, but they won't let them take his Oscar.
Again, I just certain people, and like taking Hillary Clinton's advice on foreign policy
Yeah.
is not, or on political campaigns, or on how to run charities. There's just certain
How to
things.
do a podcast.
Yeah, the things you don't have to do to listen to. But you see, this morning, Donald Trump apparently issued some statement saying, or I guess he gave an interview with maybe John Solomon or somebody like that, saying that he wants Putin to get the oligarchs to release any email traffic with Hunter Biden.
Right.
And so that set all the virtue signaling morons, and they're it's like redundant, into a frenzy.
That he's once again seeking help from Russia for his political adversary.
Well, what Hillary said is, how could Donald Trump consult with somebody who is bombing civilians?
How did he consult with him? He
Well,
tweeted.
wait.
or whatever.
Benghazi, regime change,
Right.
her entire, Bill Clinton's Rwanda.
It's sickening, Charles.
I mean, and then the thing that was amazing to me, if I'm not a former inhabitant of the White House, or a senator or secretary of state, I have many followers, and I'm grateful for them, but not at the level of Hillary. She puts that tweet out, and she has something like 300 retweets. Meanwhile, AOC is getting 22,000 retweets for saying that Ginny Thomas, who was interviewed me, and is a very nice person actually. AOC, the talking point from George Soros, I would guess, and whoever else
Clarence
is.
Thomas's wife, you mean?
Well, that Clarence Thomas needs to either resign, as AOC is saying, or recuse himself from any looming matters because of this activity of his wife, which is
just terrible.
ridiculous. I mean, let's think about that. Bill Clinton was president. What was Hillary Clinton doing? Did she get a book deal, It Takes a Pillage? Yes, she did. Did she get her followers to buy her a mansion in Chappaqua while he was president? Yes, she did. Did she get those same followers to give her money to be a senator? Yes, she did. And then when she became senator, did Bill Clinton milk their names and the prospect that she was going to be president of the United States to get paid speaking fees and other benefits for a long period and not declaring them properly? Yes, they did. And you're going to make an issue of Clarence Thomas?
I just don't think that whatever his wife is doing, she could murder somebody and he's got nothing to do with it unless there's evidence that he helped plan it or execute it. Whatever she does has nothing to do with him.
Right, but by making this argument, you're then saying, okay, you're admitting, therefore, that everything, all the criminal behavior that you and Bill and Chelsea were involved in, you all are co-conspirators. Right?
Yes.
You can't have it both ways. If you want to say that Clarence and Ginny are guilty, well, let's use that standard on the Clintons, and you're going to be away a lot longer than Clarence and Ginny are. And mind you, this is coming from the smartest woman in the world, one of the smartest lawyers in the world, who's determined to break the glass ceiling. The only ceiling she broke is the ass ceiling. I mean, another COVID test here.
AOC is about to break the nylon ceiling of the bra.
Here's your car.
Nah, I don't like that.
But now this is remarkably not busy here on Fifth Avenue.
That's what I mean. The whole thing is, today is kind of slow. Everybody is at home planning their next slap.
When isn't Easter soon, and isn't Passover soon? I think they both. I only know
April.
this. So 2 days is April.
Yeah.
I only know this because in Gristides they have they have the matzah stuff out and the peeps out and.
Yeah, well, peeps, it's because
Easter
when the
eggs.
Jews were escaping Egypt, they did not have time to make cinnamon marshmallow Rice Krispie treats, so they had to take ducks and make them out of marshmallows, and so now we eat peeps.
This is the Jason Goodman's alternative.
On the Seder
You have
plate.
Reformed Judaism, conservative, and then you have
That's
comic,
the legend.
comic Judaism, or
Listen,
I am legend.
Yeah, I didn't. You know, and when you're trying to, pack manna.
It's like, I was there, my ancestor was there. It's like, Moses, you're always giving away these gold plates. Would you stop it already? I mean, we got a business to run here. Wow, this is out, whatever this used to be.
What was this? Was this the?
I don't know, but it's definitely whatever it was is no more.
Where? No, okay. I was thinking about that office for the American Dental Association or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't think
Where they
about
wanted
that
to
place.
give you $100 to get a COVID shot.
So this is one of the most overpriced clothing stores anywhere.
Stuart?
It used to be the women's section was on the second floor, and the men's, and I don't think it went as far as
Well, I
over
don't
here.
think Paul Stewart can even tell you what a woman is, and I can't even define what a warehouse is.
I think that should be your opening position. Do you have any idea how fast you were going? Is get pulled over? What am I? A speed expert?
Yeah, I'm not a physicist. Because you got to calculate the mass of the car times the velocity.
Now look at these, right? I mean, how much do these things cost? Would you guess? Made in Italy, of course.
Probably 200
You look at the inside. 200? I think much more than that. Look at. It says made in Italy. I bet you the only thing that's made in Italy is that insole.
Right, the stamp.
And here you have we went over. What we do is we wait for the Salvation Army to take all these rags and put them in these gigantic containers and ship them over to Mauritius or India or whatever. And then the stuff they don't want over there, we take it and we put it into a blender or whatever, and we put it back here, and we're going to charge you $600 for these pants. It's
I'll
ridiculous.
stick with Adidas Boost.
Honestly, I mean, you look at this.
Doesn't look good to me. Now suits, this looks regular with sneakers.
Right, but why would you? And it's the idea here that these
socks.
shoes. Well, the shoes are too big, right? You're swimming in these shoes.
I don't
These
like
are
the
skis.
cuffs. This is like that guy who was working for Hillary Clinton with the flood pants. Why is that in style?
Well,
It's stupid.
As a guess, this suit is $1,200 or maybe
Too many
$1,800.
pockets. Yeah, sometimes it just seems like they're trying to do something for the sake of doing it. It doesn't necessarily look better.
So we'll wait here. That is the hotel, I think,
Roosevelt.
where the FBI interviewed me.
It seems closed now. You closed
Does
it
seem
down.
closed. But this used to be prime this area.
So basically, it seems like they were saying, we're getting one lie from the pro-Ukraine side. What people would say is another lie from the pro-Russian side. But we really have not had a sensible kind of adversarial debate-style process. It's just a bunch of Joe Biden saying stupid stuff and then denying that he said it.
Right,
It never happened. Peter Ducey asked him, what did you mean when you said all that? Didn't say it.
Never. Those three things didn't say those. Is that you on this video camera? Nope, not me.
Yeah, it's like the Eddie Murphy
Or that singer. It wasn't me.
Shaggy excuse. It wasn't me. Oh,
All right,
maybe it wasn't
fine,
you.
Fine. It was Trump's fault. Oh yeah, okay, it's Trump's fault.
that's the most outrageous thing. Like, what does Will Smith slapping that guy have to do with Trump?
It's just Trump is bad. Trump equals bad. So, you got a problem? Jason, where's your homework? Trump.
Must be Trump.
Trump fucked me up. He stole my homework.
He ate it.
Where's your tax filing? Oh,
Trump ate it.
Trump forced me not to pay it. But on the question of Ukraine, I really do think Zelensky, the worm is turning on Zelensky. The fact that he's now dissing the West for not giving him enough.
It's just terrible.
And that's whenever when I give somebody a gift, take them out for a meal or whatever, and they start criticizing, that's probably the last time you're going to interact with me.
Yeah, it's like an ungrateful girl on a date. Like, I don't like this restaurant. Let's go to this restaurant. Yeah, and I'm ordering this drink. And
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you there.
Right, and I'll start ordering before you get there, and then...
My number is 212-555-1212. Call me anytime. Wow, that place is out. Centro.
Oh,
That was a good place.
I'm telling you, Charles, the whole entire everything is falling apart. Actually, we had lunch there one time, didn't we?
With Barry, yeah. With Barito. Yeah, this place, when I set up that firm, the chart group, we had our celebration when we set it up in this restaurant.
So you see, without people and businesses and events, this is just a hollow shell of, bricks and glass and...
There's no reason to come. I mean, you're losing, as the French like to say, your raison d'etre. You're losing your reason for being. Why come here? It's not safe at dark. People are nasty. They're tough to fire.
Yeah.
They don't appreciate anything.
Well, we can go in here and continue our
this
station
is
tour.
our mega station tour. This used to be the Pan Am building, then the MetLife building.
So I've got to expand my conversation with the various software vendors to try to figure out how this is happening. But now that it's the second
With the
time...
what?
With the various software vendors, there's essentially two companies that I'm going to speak to about how this could have been happening.
Look at this.
Yeah, I know.
all
There
out.
should be just a crush of people coming through here.
This used to be Godiva chocolate, and Godiva's right here.
Well, nobody's working in this building anymore, so there's nothing to sell to them, right?
Who's this?
All of this were different stores.
Look at this. Here's the architect. Do you think he still does he live alone?
I don't know.
Did he select that outfit himself? I think I'm going to put on the clown glasses. This guy's going to be your architect.
There's a thing with glasses like that.
but-
Like artists like to have these big, like their vision is some...
But this is after he's put up all the nice buildings, right? If he hadn't done the first building and he shows up for your first client meeting looking like that, I mean, I'm sorry, I would say, look, you're supposed to have a sense of style and this and that.
He's refreshing the space. But there's no one coming
Look,
through here.
I was lucky enough to walk through the original lobby right after it was built. Okay. To respectfully restore, that's called a split infinitive. You're supposed to say to restore respectfully and refresh this space while maintaining its spirit. We're using classic materials as opposed to what? Fake materials? In a modern way, okay, that are both timeless and of our time.
It's a run-on sentence.
It's like, are you speechwriter for Joe Biden?
I don't know. Split infinitive is one of those things that I don't, a lot of, you have to be...
It's up, what is it? That is something up with which I shall not put?
I just don't know how to determine when there is one,
Yeah.
and that's pretty high-level stuff.
It's not really all that important. I mean, when people like Biden speak in complete gibberish, I don't think we care about splitting.
I didn't hear too much from him or about anything super major before leaving to come and do the show today.
It's like, when he talks, it's like Jabba the Hutt is more articulate. In whatever the language is that Jabba the Hutt grunts.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty good job of the HUD imitation, Charles.
Got to get my credits, however I'll take them. So here, this actually, Grand Central Station has always been one of my favorite buildings. Terminals. We have a tradition at Yale. The Yale Club is right across the street. And my mother, being a musician, a graduate of the Yale Music School, would drag us to the Christmas ceremony and the January ceremony, where the main singing groups, the Yale Glee Club and the singing group called the Whiffenpoofs, would sing to the Yale Club people, and then they would come down and rush for the last train home to New Haven, but before they rushed out, they would do a concert right here.
People must have loved that.
Well, I mean, the people love it.
Yeah.
And this, in its prime...
Kind of busier than the last time we were
A lot
here.
busier. In its prime, there used to be a restaurant over there. That used to be Michael Jordan's. And
Is there anything up there now?
I
looks
can't
like
tell. It looks like
something.
it could be.
Coffee.
I don't know which way you want to go. We definitely don't want to go downstairs, I don't think. So will you cut it? Or maybe we should go downstairs.
Well, no, because we're not even live now, so let's go downstairs.
Okay, let's see
remember
what
it
it's
cut
like,
out the
because that's
beginning.
where Lady Gaga's father had a concession down here.
Really?
That was, so poorly. I mean, you think about it, Lady Gaga's a gazillionaire.
Yeah,
Why
her
is
father has to work?
slinging Italian food on plates down
Why?
here? I don't know. Maybe they're estranged.
Well, maybe he likes it.
Maybe it's his life's work. But this down here can be very depressing.
Well, it was during the pandemic that the Oyster Bar left. That
Oyster
was
Bar's gone.
I know.
That used
But
to be a great restaurant.
It was. I think there was also one at Newark Airport, so I think it's totally out now. Huh, this was on 23rd Street Donut Plant.
You want to go around?
Yeah.
Or?
So this used to be right where the Chelsea Hotel was,
Yeah.
Donut Plant.
So what they do is they sell concessions here, and it used to be every single booth was taken.
It actually smells like good chicken.
It's a chirping chicken, and the prices are pretty high actually. Well, were pretty high.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because the concession fees are high, and they're all mostly out now.
Well, there's nobody here
And
buying
this
food.
This used to be the hobos used to hang out here.
They've stopped that.
Yeah. God, everything is
Everything
out.
is gone. So, yeah, no one's riding the train. So, and hey, look, everybody working at these food things are just hanging out, relaxing. Hello, ladies. Anybody buying soup today? Yeah, but it doesn't look that busy.
What's cooking? Stay tuned.
Nothing. Yeah,
This is amazing.
Yeah,
Last time I was here,
swarmed.
every single one of these things was standing room only.
Yes.
And this used to be, people used to hang out here. And it used to be that hall that was open, people would hang out there. Keep going around, or
Yeah.
this is Shake Shack used to be here. I don't know if it still is.
Yeah, I see the sign.
I mean,
There's
Shake
the
Shack,
Oyster Bar. It still says Oyster Bar.
maybe it's back.
Now, wait a minute. Yeah.
What do you know?
Looks like there's still a bar in there. Yeah, there's people in there. Is it open?
Please
There's
wear a
people in
mask.
there,
It is
Charles.
back.
It's reopened. Huh, it's open. That's good.
Yeah.
They
Well,
didn't
that's
announce
good.
that.
Good to know.
Or at least I didn't hear that.
What?
I didn't hear that they had reopened it. So
Yeah.
there we go.
We're not in the loop, Jason.
Wonderful discovery.
That is good to know. Maybe some of our New York City-based viewers will take the time to go to that place, because it used to be the crab cakes, cream spinach. used to
It's
be-
good food.
Yeah.
And it's also just a scene. Like, it's like a very raucous, like, everybody's in there talking about important stuff.
Right. Or not. But this is well down. Of course, it is
Yeah.
between 4 and 5 o'clock right now. It's not
No,
exactly.
now is when it would be packed, isn't it?
No. Wouldn't you go for lunch or dinner?
No, I'm saying people would be waiting, leave work early and waiting to go home.
I have never worked as after graduate school in a job where you leave at 5.
This should be very full right now.
Really? And
I
this
think
is
so.
at Magnolia Bakery.
Huh.
Dirty Taco, change that name.
It doesn't seem to be working out for them.
Indian cuisine, I don't think so. I like Indian food, but this would not appear to be.
Well, obviously
Working.
they made a decision that they're not selling it now.
Now this place used to be chock-a-block with ne'er-do-wells,
It's the sidecar.
and the police office is down here, and so if you sat there having a cup of coffee, you would see, it's to your left, where that sign is.
Oh yeah.
You would see various and sundry people being dragged to the police.
Kind of see it. It's a shell of its former self,
It
Charles.
is indeed.
You know, the reaction from the comedy world has been universally against Will Smith because comedians now feel that he's normalized this behavior of walking up on the stage and slapping the comedian.
But I think in the political world, it really, can you imagine if it was okay for, if this is finally okay to slap people with whom you disagree? You know, AOC gets up there with that senator to announce the Green New Deal, and she hasn't told him that she's going to ask for $93 trillion, and somebody just walks up and slaps her in the face.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of idiot are you?
Well, and then get an award for that.
Yeah, that's right. The slapper gets an Academy Award for whacking. We'll go down Park.
Sure. And you know, a lot of people are sending me videos like, oh, look at this. Here's a video of Will Smith. Look at that, the army now texting instead of doing anything. Oh, awesome.
What are these people doing?
So we don't need them here. It's Queen.
It's pretty good, actually. This is Joe Biden's theme song.
Escape from reality.
Attention, Harlem Line customers, 418 train to Southeast, Chappaqua first stop. Train will depart for track 40 on the upper level. 418 train to Southeast, Chappaqua first stop. The train will depart for track 40 on the upper level. 418 train to Southeast, Chappaqua first stop. The train will depart for track 40 on the upper level. Attention, Hudson Line.
It's got to be hard to sing with all that incredibly annoying announcement going on.
It's like, could you make that public announcement a little louder? But actually, the acoustics are actually quite good here, in my opinion. This place is thriving, right?
Well, not really.
Not at all.
Right. Normally,
this used to be just full.
But normally, anytime you come into Grand Central Station from like 3 to 6 p.m., it's like a flood of people that you could barely make your way through.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
So now that we're almost, once we get to Park Avenue, I'll give some new Clinton Foundation information.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah. It really feels like it's going to snow.
No, it's 45 degrees.
But it's got that kind of like gray, thick kind of crispness to the air.
Wet.
That just feels
What are all those people
snowish.
doing standing in front of Chase?
Yeah, I don't know. And then what is being advertised on this taxi? You see that? It's like a canoe. What is that?
I don't know. So here we are. This is 42nd and Park. This used to be open to taxis, but they spent a lot of money to turn it into the current state that it's in, to make it a plaza. And that building take a look at that thing. That's prime. Really expensive office space.
Or no, what is that thing?
Tishman.
Tishman, right.
But
You
if
think any of that is rented?
Oh, sure. I mean, there are people who are hedge fund players, the private equity funds, some corporations. If you've got a legitimate Fortune 50 business and for whatever reason you're stuck in New York City, that's a great location. You've got people who live in the suburbs. They just fall out of their office elevator onto the train tracks. They're going to take a train.
Get pushed onto the train tracks
And
these days.
and an hour later they're in Greenwich. And they think life is great. I remember Clarissa and I were thinking when they changed the tax rates, announced the change in '85, and we were both working, she downtown, me midtown, that we would move to Greenwich. And on our way out to check, to look at some listings, there was a guy who was absolutely shit-faced.
That guy?
That guy, probably. And he was.
Street.
I thought we wanted to go down the park, or whichever way you want to go.
I don't mind.
So he was unable to really speak in complete sentences, but he was celebrating the fact that he just finished 45 years of commuting on the train, and he looked like it's just such a mess.
Yeah.
Clarissa and I looked at each other and said, "We're not doing this."
Yeah,
Right. But so I've been going back over my extensive files, and I've been waiting for the passage of time. I've been waiting for
Let's
certain.
talk about the passage of time.
Look, I've been
It's
waiting
the
for
thing
the
about the passage
I've been
of
waiting
time
for the passage of time.
is that time passes, and we need
Through
to
passages.
contemplate the passage of
Right.
time.
Right, exactly. So I've been waiting for that thing to happen, including the passage of time, and I've been waiting for certain lawsuits and other matters to proceed to a point where they may be proceeding. And I am mindful of the fact that the Clinton Foundation is actually the William J. Clinton Presidential Foundation is a signatory to I would call it an approximately 200-year contract with the National Archives. And it's not Bill Hillary and Chelsea Clinton Foundation that's the signatory. It's not William J. Clinton Presidential Foundation or William J. Clinton Foundation or the William J. Clinton, any of the above. It's the William J. Clinton Presidential Foundation. And at any point in time in the course in the passage of time in that lease, somebody can come forward and say, now wait a minute, why are you still honoring, you the government, honoring obligations to this entity that actually hasn't existed, I would argue, since incorporation. It was never organized on a timely basis after it was incorporated, but along the way there are so many infractions of various laws just having to do with the basic requirement that this thing has to be an organization. Here we are, garbage adjacent.
Isn't there some sort of time limit where if you're
No.
not organized for X number of
No.
years, the whole thing is out the window?
No.
Wow, that's weird.
So when let's talk about this in sort of layman's terms, first of all. When the IRS, with the people who drafted these laws, were clever, and they said, we're only going to decide whether something is organized, which is very important, whether it's an organization eligible for tax exemption based on the Articles of Incorporation. We're not going to look at anything else because the Articles of Incorporation have to comply with the local law in the locality where the entity is set up. And it's an easier exercise to just say, okay, let's look at this thing. Was it incorporated? Is it an organization under that law? Now, that's one test. Then there's something called the operational test. After it was organized, was it operated in accordance with laws? So there you have to look at the bylaws. Now, when you're an individual, politician, careful, a family, and you may have your code of conduct, but it's probably not going to be a written document that's enforceable where the 8-year-old brat says, but Daddy, you said my allowance is due on Friday by 5 p.m. and I didn't get it. You know,
Limited.
Right, well, yeah. So, but with a corporation, which is what this is supposed to be, there is something called bylaws. And bylaws are just, think of them as the governance rules for the corporation. They lay out all of the relevant rules that need to be laid out that are not otherwise spelled out in the statute that defines a nonprofit corporation, in this case in Arkansas. So the folks at Williams & Connolly, which is a firm that is thought to be today in 2022 very powerful and well-connected and has some accomplished people in it, many of them, I believe their lawyers are among the most highly paid lawyers in America, therefore in much of the world. And it's a money spinner. It's a smaller firm, but it has all these huge clients. famous international figures and corporations and stuff like that. And so these people were very busy, and we know this because there are books written about the subject. During the 97 fourth quarter, they were very busy fretting about Bill and Hillary's exposure because of Monica Lewinsky, because of Charlie Tree, for all sorts of reasons that ultimately led to his being impeached but not convicted.
That was amazing that they were able to do that.
Centrally involved, though, was Williams and Connolly, busy
That's
enough
what I mean.
to defend the Clintons, but not busy enough to check the law and take a hard look, as I have been doing with others, at the articles and at the bylaws to realize that stillborn doesn't begin to describe, and stillborn birth is horrible. It's a real trauma for those who've gone through it. It doesn't begin to describe the state of these legal papers.
Let me ask you a question, Charles. If you're Williams and Connolly and you've just successfully navigated one of the most complicated and almost... What's that screaming?
I don't know, let's make sure.
There's an idiot on an electric thing. But the point is, like, they've just navigated this legal minefield that seems like for sure this guy's going to be impeached and go down in a ball of flames. Doesn't that embolden you to think there's nothing we can't defeat?
It does indeed. So going back then to this, on the one hand you have the articles, on the other hand you have the bylaws, and on the third hand, or foot, I guess, 1 foot, you've got the statute.
What is this person talking about?
Arkansas Nonprofit Corporation Law of 1993. So they have gone through a process starting in 94. They went through a process of realizing that, holy shit, this is a working theory, by the way, everything I'm saying. Holy shit, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and others have been using all these names to raise money, and we haven't, those are not names that we registered. So we've got to have some cover here. So they decide, and a guy, I'm sorry to rag on him, but I got to call an idiot an idiot. This guy, Andrew Kessel, is a bonehead.
Yeah.
And so the rule is, he's the CFO. He's become CFO on April Fool's Day 2004, which makes sense. He probably showed up wearing a jester's hat, you know, those stupid shoes that court jesters wear.
Yeah.
So he starts putting in typed versions of the required form that you need to put in to register what's called a fictitious name.
Right.
And you know what it is, but I'll just explain to the audience. A fictitious name is doing business as.
DBA, yeah.
Right. So he puts in, on October 5th, 2004, he puts in 3 forms that are not the form. You're supposed to put in actual form, not type up something.
Your own thing,
right. So he says, pursuant to the Arkansas Nonprofit Corporation Act of 1993, we are registering this fictitious name, blah, 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 thinking that nobody like me is going to say, now, wait a minute, is that the law that applies? Because it's not. It's the Arkansas Business Corporation Act.
But also, isn't Skip Rutherford not a...
This is Andrew Kessel.
Kessel. He is an attorney.
No, he's not.
That's what I mean.
But to think that there's a form for it, and on the form it says certificate of amendment, or request for a fictitious name, or application for a fictitious name, and it's a typed form, a printed form rather, that the state prints
Gives
up.
you and you
so he looks at this and says, no, that won't work for us. We better
we need
type up our own form and say that some law that applies here, and when it doesn't. And when you read the statute, what you have to do, and this makes really a lot of sense, actually, that if you want to use a fictitious name, you can't say, all right, my legal name is Charles K. Ortel Funeral Parlor, but who wants to tell somebody that that's my business? Why don't we say Charles K. Ortel Fine Dining and don't ask too much about the ingredients,
in the food, right.
Doing business as, right? And so you can't register a fictitious name for an enterprise
that does something different than your organizational purpose.
You can't, and if you're going to do that, you better use the form that you're supposed to use, not this typed up form. And then if you're going to try to comply with the statute, there's a section that says what is the character of the business that you're going to conduct using the fictitious name, which he of course leaves blank. So this is stuff that he does in October of 2004. Prior to his coming on board, he did such phenomenal diligence that he didn't realize that on March 23rd and March 24th, 2004, another idiot, Bruce Lindsay, who I think is a certified idiot. I mean, based on what I've seen so far, I'm amazed that he would have been so centrally involved as a licensed member of the Arkansas Bar, the consigliere who defended the Clintons. Let's just stop.
That was a really...
Let's just stop for a second, Cameron. I'm amazed that Bruce Lindsay would have been allowed to have been anywhere near somebody serious in government and now with this foundation.
I think you'd be surprised how stupid some lawyers are.
Right. But he goes ahead, and one of the standard methods that the Clintons use is to lie under oath. You know, they write something up,
right,
and they say that something is true when it's not true, and they dare you to call them on the carpet, relying on the fact that they're the Clintons and they were, president, or Secretary of State, senator, etc., and you're just a schlub.
Right.
You know, you're not a CPA. How do you know? Oh, somebody told me once about the Clinton Foundation.
Well, you're not a biologist.
Right. I'm certainly not a biologist. But I stayed in a Quality Inn.
Yeah.
I stayed.
How can you know what a number
That's what we
is?
could do, Jason. But I stayed in an Inequality Inn.
I don't like the quality.
Inequality, busy. And so these people are everywhere.
I could slap that guy apparently,
You
right?
could, yeah.
He's like, ah.
I wouldn't do that. So
Probably like it was the right thing to do. God told me to
good.
do that.
Felt good. I'm all about love.
Yeah.
Just bringing
I'm a
you
vessel
love.
of love. Bam. Get out my way.
Anyway, so Lindsay tries to incorporate this thing called Clinton Foundation HIV/AIDS Initiative, Inc., and he signs documents that are ultimately filed late in Massachusetts, but you can look at them, that are just, on their face, laughable.
Facially laughable.
Faciable, face like ass. Laughable. Face like smelly ass.
Well, you missed Mr. Timo.
What was that?
That's like a truck for tacos.
Okay. But Mike's Coffee and Deli, still out. Anyway, we'll go down Madison.
Not doing well.
This is not as noisy. So then you move forward to April 25th and 28th, 2005, and that's where they try to change the name of the parent company, and foolishly, they say they're changing it. They lie under oath in the agreement that's signed, and it actually says on the agreement where Bruce Lindsay signed, or somebody using his signature or himself signed his name, and it says, it's a Class C misdemeanor to falsely claim any of that. Lindsay's like, that's what I did.
But only if you get caught.
Right. If only somebody's going to do if somebody's going to do something about it.
Right.
So when you go through this and you apply the type of, what's this?
This is an oxygen bar.
A day spa?
I mean, we got a lot of useless stuff opening, Charles.
Oh, what's so useful? Why is this useless? Body sculpting.
Oxygen bar? That's a little useless.
I don't know. Lamborghini? Essential.
That can drive.
All right, okay, I got it. All right.
And I don't have one.
Yet.
Yeah, I actually probably wouldn't get a Lamborghini if cost was no object, but back
Right.
to Bruce Lindsay and all
So,
these
so
people.
the point is that when we look at the large volume of documents that are in the public record, the number of signed, sworn documents that are
utter lies.
that are defective, false, materially misleading, intentionally deceptive.
Those are bad, right?
It's horrible. And then when you look, the simple fact is, you could take the position, maybe, but try to take the position that though we filed this name change thing, we didn't know it, that it was wrong, and therefore we never changed our name. Our name has always been the William J. Clinton Presidential Foundation. Forget about all this other stuff that's in the public domain. You could try that, and AOC would say, yeah, that's right. The people defending, who will defend the Soros line at any cost, oh yeah, that's absolutely right. Anybody who would quibble with this is a racist, a misogynist, sexist,
anti-Semitic, if you don't like
Yeah.
Zelensky.
not a vegan.
Right.
You know, so the simple fact is that any check that has been written, any wire that has been sent towards what is now called anything other than the William J. Clinton Presidential Foundation is proof that people were deceived. Because after all,
Right.
why would you part with money and write the check out, and why would a bank allow that check to be cashed if they hadn't been deceived too? They're,
Right.
they're not going to say, "Oh, we knew this all along." Right? So I knew when I got into this that it would take time, and it's taken more time than I'd hoped, but it would take time to get to a place where you're really fucked as the Clintons.
You mean?
Really fucked. And similarly, Biden as well. Today, that guy on CNN, what's his name? It was John Harwood, who's originally from CNBC, but I think he might be on CNN or somebody like him, was saying that we've looked at now, CNN has authenticated the Hunter Biden laptop. It sure looks as if the Biden family was cashing in a lot of money.
Why the hell is CNN suddenly an authority?
Because they want, but the point is they want to get rid of Biden.
I know.
The
but I'm
worm
just
has
saying,
now turned.
How can people look at that and say, "Oh, well, this is normal. This makes sense"?
No, they're agreeing with us now. Finally, they're saying,
And I'm saying, how can the viewers of CNN be so stupid?
okay, do we have enough time? Don't you have another show tonight? we can't
Yeah,
go on.
please.
We can't go on for 10 hours on this subject. How could the viewers of CNN be stupid? Let me count the ways.
Yeah.
Don Lemon. Come on, Don Lemon.
How's
come
Chris
on.
Cuomo's $125 million lawsuit with them
Yeah. Yeah, what a miserable piece of shit that guy is.
doing? Yeah.
But and also, another point here is when we go, a big takeaway from the minutia that I've just fed you is that the Clintons have been very adept at getting you to focus on Trump stealing the 2016 election and not focusing on Hillary deceptively procuring the role of Secretary of State without having had to reveal the diabolically defective shape the Clinton Foundation was in 2008 and 9 when she was nominated to high praise for all the work her family had done through that foundation. Had people known, had the Senate actually known how defective that foundation was, there's no way she would have been actually confirmed.
Well,
There's no way.
they might have all been hiding it and known. It seems like it just confirmed.
No, I don't think they could have known.
Whatever kind of horrible person comes in front of them, they always seem to have a way
Well,
of confirming them.
I know. I'm just saying that she deceptively procured that role. She stayed in that role for 4 years. Obama had the American people understood the degree to which Hillary Clinton was milking USAID, Unitaid, foreign government donations, private foundation. Had the public known all that while Hillary was Secretary of State and as Barack was running for re-election, he would not have won. So they stole 2012.
Sorry, hang on, Charles.
What?
Are you guys opening a restaurant here?
We might, yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thanks very much.
The city's a disaster. Sorry to the real estate guy. But you should not open a restaurant
That's called
there.
buzzkill, Jason. You can't do that.
You know,
Are
those
you guys
look
trying to
like
close
they're
the deal?
coming from another
Yeah.
country. I don't want them getting screwed.
Yeah.
Real estate guys should go sell space to all the COVID people. Sorry, you were saying.
Well, so it's not simply that Hillary's allegations to this day that Trump stole 16. They stole. Obama had to know by 10 at the latest, 2010, what a disaster shape the Clinton Foundation was in. They covered that shit up. They let her leave with all her emails and contact information so they could use that to build an endowment and build yet another slush fund for her to try to run in 2016. So a lot of people knew about all that.
But didn't you also find that they had Obama was emailing her on that server?
Yeah, I didn't. Many people found that. Yeah, Obama has his own private server
Unbelievable.
and unvetted email devices and a private address. Cheesesteaks and brew.
coming soon.
Let's put in for Chelsea. She's around the corner, right?
I think it's a crazy idea to open a business in New York City right now.
Yeah, that's why so few people are doing it, right?
Yeah, those guys are like, hey, excellent, we will open
Yeah.
an Italian restaurant.
Did we mention that we're mafia? We need to launder a whole bunch
Oh,
of money.
that might be-
Okay, yeah,
That
guys.
might be the perfect thing to
I'm
do.
going to stop by. Thank you.
I don't know, we're just not even pointing at him and that guy thinks he's on the
No,
camera.
he said he probably watches. He says, keep up the good work. He's trying to be nice.
Did he?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
in theory, until he comes over here.
I
and
didn't
knifes us.
hear him
But
say
anyway, so then we think of that, and then we think of what Lois Lerner was doing.
Where is she now?
I hope she's rotting in hell.
She's still alive though, isn't
Well,
she?
I don't know. And then I was telling you, I'm really bad, and I'll admit this over and over. I'm not shy about admitting that I'm bad at things I'm bad at. But I'm really bad at tech matters, and I couldn't, for several months now, I haven't been able to go on a story and it's open, and then my phone or whatever, and then hit the three dots and try to share it. It doesn't work on Twitter. And then I was talking to you, so why don't you just copy and paste? And I'm like, what is that? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I've been able to do that, and today I tweeted out a story, which
This is our fan here, just be careful.
All right. Let's go that way.
Yeah, I don't think that guy knows us.
So I remember the name of that FBI man who was leading, in theory, the investigation of the Clinton Foundation,
Giacolone?
John Giacolone. And I remembered that I'd written a story, and I've written so many stories, can't remember all of them. And so I was able to find that story, and I first encouraged folks to try to find it. Then I tweeted it out. And I can say categorically that unless the name John Giacolone is in Durham's, this kid's a pretty good catcher.
A little kid, yeah.
We shouldn't really take pictures of him now.
Oh. Why
Just-
not?
Just thought not to be a good thing.
Well, in the park, I'm just
I know, it's just like.
far away. Anyway,
But the story is quite good because, in my opinion, because I weave together different links and take you back into the State Department, into the Comey, the letter to Comey in January of 2016 from this State Department person who says, hey, I have evidence
Right.
incriminating Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in serious crimes, and I want to come give you that evidence. Please confirm that I've sent this to you. And of course, Dopey James Comey and his secretary don't answer it.
so I'm at the Lego store, bro.
It's like, I don't crimes? We got enough of them. I'm trying to work in another hedge fund. So he goes, this guy who had the information, and it was sensitive enough that he says in the letter, and the letter you can see you can follow the links in my story and see for yourself. The guy is pissed that Comey doesn't respond.
Of course.
So he just shows up at the Washington field office,
Yeah.
the FBI. There's a 302 on it that gets filled out 3 weeks or so after the visit, late in January 2016. Abruptly in January 2016, John Giacolone, who is not scheduled to retire,
Quits.
he quits. And the
Works
first
for
thing
help.
you would do if you were running a serious investigation is you would sit down with Giacolone and say, listen, dude, you're in the FBI, you were in the FBI, you've got a government pension from the FBI, you better not lie to an FBI agent, and we want to ask you what was really going on back then.
But I thought he quit because the FBI wasn't doing anything.
My point is, who obstructed? You sit down with Giacolone and you say, listen, we're hoping you did the honorable thing here. You may have signed some agreement where you're not supposed to say anything. We're going to let you abrogate that agreement
With who? Sign
with the FBI to get his pension, to get his severance or whatever. Maybe he had to sign something to shut the F up. Here's your card, Jason. And I'm saying that any serious John Durham investigation needs to involve sitting down with John Giacolone.
He's taking his time.
Well, it's a standard thing. I love it when the government comes to you and they say, when the only time so far the FBI came to me, it was not, hey Charles, or Mr. Ortel, we'd like to talk to you. Can we how does your
Schedule.
3 months now look? It's like, we'd like to speak to you
5 minutes from
now.
Yeah.
And I realized that the right way to do it is just say, okay, fine, I can do it, so I did. But here, we're trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, and we hear one excuse that's come. Oh, there's somebody.
Hey, look, cops talking to a homeless guy.
3 of them, 3 cops.
Why are
4
they doing
cops.
that? Is that the most dangerous guy?
Well,
in
let's
New York
keep
City?
going.
I'm not going to do anything. Let's zoom in and see what they're doing to that guy. Not texting, so it must be serious.
Maybe they're saying.
All fat. Look at those 4 cops.
Yeah, let's go, Jason. I don't want to.
All right. Anyway,
But
Giacoloni is there.
so the point is that what the excuse they're using now for, you remember the Durham had to ask for more time, for something. I forget what it was. The government needed more time to release classified information.
To waste.
Well, and Durham and the other, who's ever on the other side, agreed that it's okay to take more time, and the excuse for needing to take more time was that the people who are involved in declassifying the materials that Durham needs to look at are spending all their time on Ukraine now. It's just like, when COVID happened, we can't,
Right.
the government needs to shut down
This is just
COVID.
so stupid. Because you know what, when you're in the business world,
Right.
you can't say, oh, by the way, gigantic client, my wife
Right.
is doing this and my
Right.
kid has that problem and
Right.
I got to do this. They're like, where's the stuff or you're fired?
It's like, there's something called, your 21st century 3D, and we've got 22nd century 3D over here. And so, bottom line, I think on the substance of is the Clinton Foundation the biggest unprosecuted, politically connected charity fraud ever attempted? Of course it is.
Yeah.
Is it ever going to be prosecuted? Who knows?
Right.
Is the public
That's
tired.
from the dog spa.
Finally unlikely to believe that any representative of any government is reliably a know-it-all on any issue? I think we are in a place now where if you seriously believe the government knows what it's doing, any government, then you truly are dumber than Joe Biden at this stage, right? I mean, look at what we were told versus what has happened, and you just pick the topic. It doesn't have to be one that'll get us bounced off of whatever.
Yeah.
Just pick a topic. What you were told and what turns out to
Didn't
be true.
happen.
Yeah. And so why do you? I just zone out when that kind of stuff happens. I don't waste any time. I will, if it's a minor matter and I could talk to the person about it, I might invest the time and energy to say, well, it's a minor matter. They might have had a bad day, they slipped up, whatever. I'll give them another chance. But if it's a major life and death matter, like, I, as the President of the United States, am saying that we need regime change in Russia, and then they walk it back, and then he says, I'm not walking anything back. You're done. Like, no, I don't want to invest another second trying to decipher the ravings of Joseph Robinette Biden the third or junior or whatever he is. I just don't care.
But if
Let
you're
him.
Putin, don't you interpret that as they're going to make an aggressive move? And we can't wait for that and see. We've got to
Right, and it's always I
do
think
whatever.
Putin's pretty aggressive, but I think whenever you give a military fighting force nuclear weapons and all kinds of lethal stuff, and you're attracting people who like to shoot guns and beat people up, etc., they don't sit there and say, really, war is hell. I just don't.
No, they're like, yeah, let's kill him.
I don't want to blow up this bomb. Why would I want to do that? We haven't blown a nuclear weapon up since 1945.
Let's do it.
Yippee-ki-yay, speaking of Bruce
Right.
Willis. But
I think we didn't say that. I told you off camera. Bruce Willis
I
has
know.
aphasia and is
retired. It's sad, actually. He was, years ago, maybe it was 25 years ago, Fabien and I and a bunch of people were at this disco in Paris, a very fancy disco, and he was there. All of his friends were prominent French people, movie actors and whatever, and Willis was there for some movie. And so we were like 25 of us, and he was there with like 2 people. And he was expecting us to go over to him, and we're like, fuck you.
Who cares?
So he comes over, starts talking to us. He couldn't have been nicer.
That's interesting because I had a friend in LA who had worked on a movie with him and said he was awful. And I don't really know what aphasia is, but it's interesting because you never really know where somebody might be and what could be rolling around in their brain.
Well, I think, do we want to cross the street here, or is this?
We're here. It's
don't
whatever.
know. I think we should consider
We
crossing
could
the street.
cross. Yeah, that's a good idea. I see what you're talking about. But everybody here is working at We Work,
Let's go across
right
the
next to
street.
We Don't Work.
Or we ain't never gonna work.
Yeah.
I just don't like the,
No,
when
yeah,
I see
that's a
people
total-
rummaging through
they
garbage.
Absolutely. You can even hear them now.
Yeah. Just like, let's not make that move.
Maybe I should have voted on that thing when they didn't want this to
The
move
referendum.
in. Yeah, well, I think it was just my building having a petition
Oh, right.
saying we don't want that, and they were like, good, we don't care.
JP Metal America, Inc.
I think it's
High-end metal bending stuff.
it's not what I thought it was. There's a sewing machine repair factory around here. or
I'll
something.
have to take mine in.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like one of those things that's like a relic from 1930, from when
Is it
everything
one of
used
those-
to be manufactured.
What are those things called? Not gramophone, but what were they called?
Phonograph?
No, before that.
Cylinder? I don't know. Edison cylinder?
So one of our longtime viewers said in an email to me, would I take the time to explain, and I'll do it very briefly, how somebody like Soros would profit from instability. And when people think about making money off of instability or in the market, they tend to think about stocks. The classic one being that you have a friend who works in a company and they've discovered that one of their drugs has just been approved, but they haven't publicly announced it.
Oh,
The
you're
stock-
Martha Stewart.
Yeah, or you're Martha Stewart or whatever. That's one set of issues. But with common stock, even today, you can't borrow a large amount of money and make as large an amount of money as you can when it comes to debt, and specifically government debt. So with government debt, if you know,
You can borrow money to buy debt?
absolutely.
That's the stupidest thing I've
No,
ever
it's
heard.
not.
You're
not.
going into debt to take on somebody else's debt?
Yeah, it's not. Well, because your credit could be better than the government. So if you're buying debt, let's say of AOC's congressional district, which there is no such thing, but no such debt. But if hypothetically speaking, a debt where you have the representatives a moron, an arrogant moron, and everything they do in that district is stupid, and they have debt and they're not. Notice the light?
No, she doesn't. Wow.
So what you could do if you're involved, and there's a company called JARCH, J-A-R-C-H Capital that Peter Schweitzer identified, that specializes in financing revolutions.
What?
Yep.
How
It's a
can that be
private.
allowed?
I don't know. It's a private equity fund that specializes in backing rebels.
What?
I know.
Where is that
I
located?
don't know. But let's just wait. Let's stop here.
That's incredible.
So, if you're involved with such a firm, what you do is you go and you say, all right, Ukraine prior to a few weeks ago was pretty stable. And what we know is we've got our
Blow it
rebels.
up.
We know our rebels are going to go in there and blow it up. So we're going to short Ukrainian government debt.
What?
Yeah. And hope that the value of the debt, or we'll short Russian debt.
Isn't that just financing a war?
Pretty much, yeah. Shouldn't be allowed to do that. But you don't have to go as far as using JARCH Capital. If you're a politically connected schmuck like Soros, who's paid off people around the world, with contributions for decades, and he's got all these
Open
functionaries.
society.
You okay?
Yeah.
So you know that there's a plan afoot by Blackwater or something like Blackwater to destabilize a country that has a large amount of government debt outstanding. So you short that government debt, meaning you sell it at par, let's say, and it goes down to 5 cents on the dollar, and you buy it back at 5 cents on the dollar, you make 95 cents per whatever, 95% of whatever you risk in a short period of time. Alternatively, if you know that Russia's a basket case, and because you're financing the Biden scam operation, the scam family, and you know that they're going to pretend that they're at loggerheads, but already Blinken is behind the scenes saying, "Don't worry, Vlad. You know, we'll let this go back to normal very quickly." And government debt in Russia, you can't buy it as an American, so you find somebody in Cayman Islands to buy it for you or whatever. You buy it for 5 cents on the dollar, and you don't just buy it for 5 cents on the dollar. You put up, you know, a hundredth of 5 cents, and you borrow 99 hundredths.
Like fractional reserve short
No,
selling or
no,
something? Or is that naked short selling?
No, this is I'm buying long. So make it simpler. Let's say it's $500 of debt, right? I put up $5, I borrow $495, and the debt becomes worth $100,000. And so my rate of return on the 5.
Oh, you're saying because something bad happens.
Something good happens, because now it's something. I've made something bad happen in Russia, right? I'm a crook who's just gonna destabilize things. I make money in good times and bad times. First, I destroy Russia, so the government debt goes down. Then I buy the government debt, knowing that Biden's going to put Russia back together, and I make money coming up. Then I destroy it again. Then I fix it. Then I destroy it.
Wow.
Then I fix it. And that's the kind of stuff that these people, I believe, are doing, perhaps in league with the CIA and with MI6 and
Hunter Biden
and other people. And that's the kind of stuff that, you know, people are hiding behind the 1947 National Security Act or whatever it is and saying, you know, we're involved in stuff that's so dangerous, you can't possibly know about it, and you don't want to know our sources and methods.
Right,
if we
can't
tell you,
compromise.
we don't want to compromise those sources and methods. And this is, I mean, just as we should have had a grown-up debate about, do we really, on the heels of fucking up regime change in Afghanistan, in Iraq, across the Middle East, in Iran, in South and Central America, now in America, do we really want to go for regime change again in the Ukraine? And if so, why are we propping up this guy we've done no diligence on, Michael Avenatti or Zelensky or whatever his name is? You know, why are we doing this? So that's the short summary.
That's a good summary, Charles. It's, you know that feeling you get on the last day of
School?
last days of high school, right? Where like there's kind of nothing going on, but something's about to happen. Yeah. It's like, what is going on right now is how I feel. But I got to go figure out how to best way to get this on air here.
All right.
And then I've got Lee at 8:30 tonight, so everybody will be able to see him. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jason.